Hi and welcome. I'm John Williams. I am the columnist for the My Edmond section of your Oklahoma newspaper. And right here with me is Callen Clark, a guy that I've got to know recently, and we're going to talk about this strange-looking lute on steroids he's got with him. He's brought with him a gentleman by the name of Bandy, and he's going to explain more about that instrument. And Karen Khanagov is also with us, and we'll learn more about this man from the country Azerbaijan. Let's start with you. I wrote a story and we had an opportunity to talk quite a bit. This instrument is actually called an oud. Would you explain the history behind the oud?
Yeah, the oud. It's an instrument that goes back at least 2,000 years, maybe further. And it was developed somewhere in the 1st or 2nd century by Arabs in the city of Hira, which is now a ruin somewhere in Iraq. And the Arabs took it and spread it all across the Mediterranean basin. When it got into Spain, it became to the Spanish lauta instead of al-oud, which is how you say it in Arabic. Spanish, they say lauta. In French, leuth, and then we get to English and we have lute. So both the word lute and the instrument itself come from the oud. This is the original lute, and it's the ancestor of the guitar, the mandolin, most of these lute-like instruments we have in the West today.
Now, how does a boy from Oklahoma become proficient and even interested in becoming proficient with an instrument like this?
Interested and proficient are two different things.
I see.
A lot of hard work, and traveling across country to Massachusetts, studying with Arabic music masters like Simon Shaheen, Ali Jihad Rasi, and William Shaheen, Najib Shaheen, some of these people over there. Going to Morocco, learning about the Ela music in North Africa. All of these things takes a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun too.
And we're going to hear you play this in just a moment or two. Brad, you've brought along, I'm going to call it a drum, but what actually is this instrument?
This instrument's called the durbeki, and it's very common in a lot of different Middle Eastern contexts. Belly dance is what it's kind of known for, popular by the most general application, but it's used in all kinds of different Middle Eastern.
And how did you become interested in playing this?
Well, I play percussion, play Latin percussion, drum set, and had another percussionist friend of mine who we kind of worked together over the years and was my roommate, and he goes, "Man, you gotta hear this guy named Callen Clark. He plays Middle Eastern music." I thought, well, that's neat, I guess. I guess that's kind of neat. American guy trying to play Middle Eastern music. I didn't know, I was kind of a snob. I didn't know if it was going to be any good. But when I heard the CD, I just couldn't believe it. I was like, man, this is a local guy that's writing legitimate ethnic music on legitimate ethnic instruments. It's not keyboard sounds. These are actual instruments. And it blew me away. Like, the CD totally blew me away. And so we ended up just going over to Callen's house one day, and he sat down and said, "This is a durbeki, and this is a couple other Arabic percussion instruments," and sat down, and we literally gave us our first lesson, and we were so really enthralled by the music that we kept coming back every week, and he'd teach us more and more about different beats, and ikah is what they're called. And we just started playing together, and we formed a band kind of informally, and just the music and culture was just very intriguing to me. And it was a totally different perspective on Middle Eastern culture that I'd not experienced before. The beauty and the sophistication of art and poetry and ancient forms that have been developed, over thousands of years.
One of the men who's helped put a sound behind this, and with it, Karen, you helped orchestrate music in a concerto that he put together recently at St. Paul's Cathedral. Tell me some of your musical background.
I grew up in Baku, Azerbaijan. I'm Armenian by nationality. I studied accordion, piano, guitars. I went to conservatory as choral conductor. I came here, studied violin. I mean, it's just very broad band. And from the very early on, I had different bands, which would be prototype of groups like Chicago, Blood, Sweat, and Tears in those days. Some popular music, but then I started gravitating toward jazz, and then it all changed Anyway, and ended up working for Gaya, which is used to be Azerbaijan State Orchestra. I was musical director, and my duties were to arrange, oftentimes to transcribe certain pieces from the tape by ear onto paper and give it to musicians and learn with them. So from there on, it just grew bigger, and after my immigration as a refugee to the United States, I started teaching violin here at OCU Performing Arts Academy. And then I formed a group of musicians, a chamber orchestra, string chamber orchestra, mainly of my students. And over the years, we've been playing different places, and we've been doing things that are even on the air, like in classical musical station, 90.1. And I didn't write instrumentation for Clark's concerto. He wrote everything himself. I just put the people and his music together.
He really
well, I helped whatever I could, but he wrote it. I mean, we just
I'm
made
anxious
it
right
right.
now for us to get an opportunity to listen to both of these instruments. And so why don't we do that right now?
Okay, sounds good.
And I hope that you enjoy that just as much as I did, and I hope it's been informational for you. I'm sure we'll be writing about the next thing that you have coming up. And you also have a CD.
Yes.
And we want you to be able to look for that. Callen Clark, thank you. And Brad and Karen, thank you for being with us, and thank you for watching.